Once upon a time,
Hurry!
in a fictional land called New York City.
Can't you go faster?
Can't you please to be holding on to your water, sir? You are very much to be making me nervous driver.
Keep the change.
And what change would that be, sir? You are to be giving to me, according to the meter, 25 cents more. My goodness, if it isn't Jack, of all the people I didn't expect to see today. We haven't seen you around here in a good long time, sir.
Hi, Johnny.
Jack, how are you, buddy?
No time! Bigby!
You look out of breath, Jack. Been climbing beanstalks again.
No. Blown down any piggies' homes lately?
I'm a bit busy, Jack. Did you run all the way over here just to trade verbal barbs, or is there something else you need?
There is a terrible thing, a crime. A terrible thing has happened.
The only problem that directly concerns this office is how beastly you look and have been looking recently.
It's not my fault. It's that ancient curse again. It disappeared with my voice away from me, way back when. But now it comes and goes.
See? I told you he'd blame me.
I'm not blaming you, my sweet, but I seem to them back to a base to the extent that you've been mad at me.
This would be easier, Lord Beast, if I could understand you better.
He said that his curse reasserts itself to the extent that I'd become mad at him. But you try being married for almost 1,000 years without a few ups and downs along the way. No one can be perfectly, blissfully happy and in love for so long.
It's this transitional period that's the problem. My fangs have grown in my mouth, but haven't grown big enough to fit me yet. Though I think funny.
As sorry as I am for your marital difficulties, it isn't any of my business. We barely have enough money and manpower to run the most basic of underground government services. We can't afford to do marital counseling, and to be perfectly candid, I wouldn't allow it if we could. The Mundies may look to their government to solve their problems, but in Fable community, we expect you to be able to run your own lives. Our only concern is that you're currently in violation of our most vital law. No Fable shall, by action or inaction, cause our magical nature to become known to the mundane world. If you can't maintain a normal human appearance, or purchase a concealing glamour from one of our witches, our rules mandate that you be relocated upstate to the farm where all other non-human fables live.
But we didn't escape from the homelands with our fortune intact. We can't afford a glamour powerful enough to hide my husband's curse. We barely make enough between us to get by.
And let no same money troubles that exacerbate our marital problems and make the curse come back.
As sympathetic as I am to your troubles, I can't be of any help to you. Many of the fables, I'd say even most of us, lost our lands, titles, and fortunes when we were forced out of our homelands by the adversary. We have to make do as best we can. There are only a handful of us working in the underground Fable government. We're already seriously overworked and underpaid, and it's everything we can do to keep our exile community together. We don't even have the power to tax our members. We get by on donations, and half our time is spent bowing, scraping, and kissing ass to get what little we can bring in each year. So please, believe me when I say that I can't help you sort out this situation.
But you are really the mayor.
True. I'm not really the mayor of Fabletown, only his deputy. And if you want to make an appointment to tell your tale of woe directly to Kingcole, that's your prerogative. But I'll tell you right now what will happen. He'll listen to you and make all the right noises about how sorry he is for your plight, and his sympathy will be genuine because he's a wonderful, empathetic man. And then, the moment you're out the door, he'll ask me what I want to do about it, because that's how we work. He does all the formal glad-handing, he makes the official appearances and hosts the ceremonial functions, and I do the real work of running our community. For better or worse, you've just had your appeal to the city.
You divorced your prince centuries ago. You have no idea how hard it is to keep a marriage going so long.
No, dear. That's no reason to get personal.
Don't get personal? After she openly criticized our married life?
I did no such thing.
And just who is she to criticize anyone's personal life? After what I heard about her tawdry little adventure with those 7 dwarfs?
Okay, folks, business is piling up and we need to move things along to Miss White's next appointment.
But?
Thank you both for coming in. Our door is always open.
But we weren't finished.
Yes, you were, ma'am. Assuming you hope to survive your last comment, take my advice. Some topics are best never brought up. Never discuss personal hygiene with a bridge troll, never trade castle recipes with a Black Forest witch, but above all, when talking to the deputy mayor?
Never mention the dwarfs. Goodbye, Miss Beauty. Mr. Beast. Take care now.
Blue Boy. Is her royal nibs in?
Yes, but she is in a foul mood.
I'm about to make it worse.
Are you enjoying your lunch?
Very much so. Thank you, Molly.
And how did you find your steak?
I simply looked behind the potato, and there it was.
Oh, that's very clever. You're a delightfully clever man. Positively.
Clever.
Yes. So, will there be anything else, sir?
Nothing more to eat or drink, miss. But we've shared such a nice flirtation this afternoon that I'm tempted to ask you for your phone number.
I'm tempted to give it. Actually, I'm about to go off shift, and I'm tempted to ask you to come home with me right now.
That's a delightful idea, dear Miss Molly. But I'm afraid that would create a slight problem for one or both of us. I came in here without a penny to my name, and my plan was to eat a filling meal and then skip out on the check. But if I'm to go home with you, well, we're suddenly faced with a rather awkward moment.
Really? You're broke?
Completely and utterly.
But you'd like to come back with me to my place?
That is currently my fondest desire.
Well, I guess I can afford to pick up the check since I would have been stuck with it anyway, if you'd snuck out.
You're a good sport, Molly. I adore you already.
Since we're just minutes away from doing wonderfully nasty things to each other, don't you think it's time I learned your name?
I'm Prince Charming, of course.
That's for sure. But seriously, who are you?
I'm embarrassed to admit that I'd actually have to fetch my wallet to recall which identity I'm using these days. Is it really so important, my darling?
What do you need, Mr. Wolf? I'm busy right now.
You need to prepare yourself for some bad news, Snow.
Don't be so dramatic. I already know my ex is back in town. Apparently, he managed to finally wear out his welcome among even the most inbred elements of European royalty.
This isn't about Prince Charming. It's about your sister, Rose Red.
This may surprise you, Mr. Wolf, but I'm not entirely an idiot. I actually know my sister's name. So, what's she done this time?
I've received a report, unconfirmed, mind you, that she's gone missing. She's possibly the victim of violence.
What? How?
Her boyfriend was just here to report that he found her apartment trashed this morning.
Oh, is that all? You had me scared for a minute, Mr. Wolf. But my sister is the last of the dedicated party fiends. She's the original wild child. From what I hear, her apartment gets thrashed with alarming regularity.
I'm afraid this time it's different. I understand there's blood. Lots of it. I'm going over there now to investigate. But I thought you'd want to know right away.
Damned right I want to know. I'm going with you.
I don't think that would be a good idea. Not until I've gotten a first-hand look at the situation.
I'm not much interested in what you think is and isn't a good idea. She's my sister, I'm your boss, I'm going with you.
Boss or not, Snow, I'm not about to let you interfere with my work. I told you this is a courtesy, but I won't have an amateur stomping through a possible crime scene destroying evidence.
Then we seem to be at an impasse. I suggest a compromise. And the compromise is this. I'm coming with you, and if you don't like it, clean out your office and get out of the building. How's that?
Oh my, yes, just like that. Do more of that. You're amazing.
I know. I've always believed a truly accomplished nobleman should hone his cockmanship every bit as much as his swordsmanship. In each case, one should know when it's better to thrust or parry or bind, when it's time to withdraw or riposte.
I don't know what riposte means, but don't you dare withdraw it yet.
And of course, when it's time to finally commit all to the deep lunge.
Yippee! My hero!
So, why didn't Jack stick around after he reported the crime?
You're not allowed to smoke in the car, sir. Sir?
I sent him ahead to guard the crime scene. I didn't want anyone messing it up before I got a look at it.
You had Jack guard the crime scene. Isn't that like asking the fox to guard the henhouse?
He's the only one I can trust to keep the scene safe, since he's the one who discovered it. If Jack wanted to alter the evidence, he already did it before he came in to report the crime. And if that's the case, he won't want anyone else coming along to further alter his alterations. Keep the change.
Oh joy, now my mother can get that kidney operation she so desperately needs.
I still don't trust him. I don't understand what Rose sees in him.
I always got the impression that your open disapproval of Jack was the thing that Rose found most attractive in him.
True enough, I suppose. Rose and I have drifted apart over the years.
I wouldn't characterize it as drifting. Rose seems to have dedicated her life to doing whatever will cause you the most pain and embarrassment.
You're getting a bit nosy, Mr. Wolf.
I can't help but notice things, no. I believe that's why you hired me as Fabletown's sheriff.
There you are.
Everything just the way you left it, Jack?
Haven't gone back in yet. I didn't want to see it a second time. It's horrible, you'll see.
Just get the door open. Oh God, Rose.
See? It's horrible.
Hold this. I'm gonna need my senses clear. Both of you stay here. Do not come in for any reason. If someone comes, close the door and stay out in the hall. This stays strictly among the Fable community. No one lets the Monday cops in on it.
What are you doing? Why are you looking at the floor? You should be looking for Rose. Check the bedroom to see if she's in there.
I already checked. She's not here.
Both of you, shut up and let me work.
She's my sister!
Jack, if she opens her mouth again, pick her up and carry her back home. If she screams or resists, you got my permission to knock her senseless.
Fine. I get the message. I'll keep quiet. For now. Lay one hand on me, asshole, and you'll regret it.
Aha! Jack, I'm taking you in.
What for?
Doesn't matter. Let's call it resisting arrest.
But I didn't! You power mad fuck shit!
See?
Ow!
Now I can add attempted assault to the charges. You've occasionally been clever, Jack. But never smart.
Ow! This is abuse of authority, and I've got a witness.
Shut up, Jack, before I think of other charges to stack against you.
Is he the one?
We'll see.
The next day, the Woodland, the secret city hall of the underground community known to its members as Fabletown.
Frog went a-courtin', he did right. Uh-huh. Good morning, Miss White. Grand day, isn't it?
Lovely.
And in the Woodland's smallest studio apartment.
Get up. It's morning. I need to go to work, and you need to get out.
Leave me alone, Bigby. I'm still sleeping. I got in late last night.
Today's truck upstate to the farm leaves in an hour, and you're gonna be on it. You can't keep sneaking into the city to crash on my couch.
Why not? You still owe me big time for destroying my house.
Ancient history. And all I did was scatter a few bales of straw.
After which you try to make supper out of me. Let's not forget that minor detail.
So, how does that translate into? I have to put you up every time you escape from the farm.
Because, by staying here, I'm a living symbol of your lasting redemption. Who can continue to doubt you've reformed after one of your old enemies, a succulent piggy, survived sleeping in your apartment? I hate it up on the farm, Biggs. I'm a sophisticated pig, and belong in the city.
Nevertheless, if you leave the farm again, I'm turning you in, officially. You want some breakfast before I kick you out?
What are you having?
Ham and eggs.
I take it all back. You're still a monster, through and through.
In Midtown Manhattan, the apartment of Miss Molly Greenbaum, whom we met albeit briefly last issue.
In Dublin's fair city, where girls are so pretty, I first set my eyes on sweet Molly Malone.
The Woodlands Garden an hour later.
I thought I'd find you out here.
I like to come here to think, which I do best when left alone.
I won't take up too much of your time. But I have a few questions about the state of our investigation. First, did Jack really do it?
Probably not. But any excuse to hold him in custody will let check out a few things. So he's officially guilty for a day or two. And for the record, this isn't our investigation. It's my investigation.
So, what actual conclusions did you come to?
Not many. The blood is your sister's.
How can you be sure?
You can't fool this nose. We can have it lab tested if you like, but there's zero chance it isn't her blood.
So, she really was the victim of violence?
It looks that way.
If not Jack, whom do you suspect? She partied with Mundies. Do you think one of them might have?
A Mundy wouldn't have known to leave that particular message on her wall, not unless Rose had revealed her fateful nature to one of them. But as nonconformist as she is, I don't think even she would break that rule. Whoever did this is one of us. A Fable.
Then, my money says Jack did it.
I always liked suspecting Jack. He's been a perpetual load in my pants since day one of the Exile. But I have no choice other than to go where the evidence leads. Of course, that won't keep me from questioning him today.
I want to be with you when you question him.
I suspected as much. Are you going to inject yourself into every facet of my investigation? Don't you have a government to run?
Rose is my sister.
And yet you've been estranged from each other for years. There's been little love lost between the two of you.
If you think that, maybe you should add me to your suspect list.
I already have.
Is that supposed to be some kind of joke?
No, ma'am. I never had much of a sense of humor. We can get your interview out of the way now, if you like.
I can't just now. My ex just called and insisted I meet him for a late breakfast at the Eggman. I'm going over there now.
I had your wallet first.
Elsewhere.
If you're going to advance, advance like you mean it. You aren't back in your glass slippers, waltzing at a dress ball. A modicum of grace is important, but you get no points for delicacy here, princess.
Mr. Bluebeard, if you're going to insist on calling me princess, please don't do it in that tone of voice. You make it sound like I'm a fucking synonym for, I don't know, a turd sandwich.
When did you get such a potty mouth? Did you talk like that back in the homelands? Is that why your handsome prince divorced you?
Could be.
Good lunge, but you let your point drift off target.
I didn't want to risk skewering you.
Then you're wasting my time and yours. In Fable Town, we fence with real blades because we're training for real battles. Your husband fancied himself a deft hand with a blade. It's a wonder he didn't pass along any useful skills before he set you aside. On guard position, princess. My turn to attack now.
Are you purposely trying to be so boorish? Is this some cryptic aspect of your teaching style?
Could be. Did you know Prince Charming's back in town?
Old news. Everyone knows he's scamming free eggs off wife number one, even as we speak. The real news is what happened to Rose Red. Did you hear about it?
No, what?
She's dead. Carved up like a Christmas turkey. And rumor has it that creepy boyfriend of hers did the dirty deed.
Jack?
Yeah, I think that's him. I heard he was dancing naked in bits of her skin when they caught him. Ow! What the fuck? I'm bleeding, you shit. Why'd you do that?
Because this is serious business, and you weren't paying attention. Think about that before your next lesson.
Thank you for coming on such short notice.
I wouldn't have missed it for the world. I'm dying to find out how you burned your last bridges with every royal in Europe, and who you're sponging off these days.
It's comforting to discover your voice hasn't lost any of its venom over the years, lovely.
Why don't you tell me what you want, so I can get back to work? Unlike you, I have responsibilities.
Yes, I heard that you are running the entire show over here now, and that's what I want to talk to you about.
Forget it. I'm not about to use my office to get you out of trouble, or help you cheat some unsuspecting Fable out of her fortune.
No need. I've thought of a way to replenish my lost fortune without cheating anyone.
Do tell.
I've decided to auction off my royal title, plus my lands, estates, the entire principality. I'm going to put the whole package up for sale on one of those internet sites. All I need you to do is spread the word among the Fable community. Concentrating on the rich ones, of course.
You've gone dotty, sweetheart. Why would anyone pay good money to buy lands that have fallen under the adversary's dominion, or a royal title that has no authority in this world?
That's the beauty of my plan, Snow. What are we, less than 2 weeks from our annual Remembrance Day celebration? This is the one time of the year where everyone gets nostalgic for the homelands and starts believing we actually have a chance of winning them back someday. If we act fast, someone will buy everything I have to sell, just on the off chance that we do get to go home again.
Possibly so, but what makes you think I'd do anything to help you? Don't you remember why I divorced you? You slept with my sister.
The mink seduced me!
I'm leaving now, before I scream. Crawl back into the bed of whatever Monday whore you're currently shacking up with and leave me alone. By the way, the minx in question has gone missing under frightening circumstances. It's just occurred to me that you belong on the list of suspects. And Bigby will want to question you about that later.
This shouldn't take long, Jack.
Take all the time you need. I want to do everything I can to help you find out what happened to Rosie and convince you I'm not the one who hurt her. I'm so worried. My God, there was so much blood. Too much. I'm afraid she may be...
It won't help to start thinking that way yet, Jack. Relatively small amounts of blood spread around can go a long way. Until we test it forensically, we can't know for sure how much of Rose Red's blood was spilled in her apartment. I've already arranged for those tests later, but until then, we should assume we're looking for a living woman.
Okay. Whatever you say, you're the sheriff.
You've been romantically involved with Rose for how long?
Almost 4 years now.
But not 4 years straight.
Excuse me?
Just about a year ago, you and Rose had a very public falling out. There were fights, lots of screaming. It nearly got to the point where I would have had to intervene. In fact, if I recall correctly, she attended last year's Remembrance Day with someone else. Who was that again?
Bluebeard. But she only dated him to make me jealous. He's the one you should question. You know his reputation with women. Maybe he got mad when she left him to come back to me.
We'll get around to him. But let's finish up with you for now. You keep an apartment here in the building, right?
Right.
But you have your own key to Rose's place, and you stay over with her most nights.
Yeah, usually, but not every night.
Why not the night before last?
I'm not sure. I was out late with some friends, and I guess I didn't want to wake her, so I crashed at my place.
Funny. But Grimble doesn't remember you coming in. Late, or otherwise.
Grimble was asleep behind the security desk, like always.
You'd be surprised how much registers with him, even when he's sawing logs. You're always trying to beat the system, Jack. There was a time you tried to steal Numblin's 7-leg boots to win the New York Marathon.
The Boston Marathon. At least I tried to do it out of state to divert attention away from Fabletown. I know how to keep things secret for Mondays. I don't run with those fanatics who think we should all come out of the closet.
And what about the time you tried to raffle off the map to your remaining magic beans?
What law did that break? I have the right to make money off my own property.
Except the map was a fake and you lost the beans centuries ago. If you ever had them at all.
Big deal, so I try to play a good-natured gag now and then. So what? I'm a trickster by nature, but I'm not violent.
Not lately. But you did go through that remarkably bloody giant killing phase way back when.
all of which happened before the general amnesty, which means it can't be brought up again.
He's right, Bigby.
Or does that protection only apply to granny goblin wolves who don shepherd's clothing to become low-rent cops during the exile?
Watch your smart mouth, sonny boy.
Stop it, both of you! You're acting like this is some private game, but you're avoiding the one question that I need answered. Jack, is my sister dead? Did you kill her? Did you put her body somewhere?
No, of course not. I promise.
So you don't mind if I take a look inside your apartment? Oh, wait. You live here. In the building. So I don't need your permission. I'll keep you here for now while I check out your place.
Sure, why not? I got nothing to hide.
Can you think of anyone who might want to hurt Rose?
Bluebeard's the only one that comes to mind. Maybe he'll revert back to his old ways. You know what he used to do with his wives, right?
Those are pre-amnesty deeds, Jack, remember? You can't bring that up.
I apologize for the waterworks in there. That wasn't very professional of me.
Nothing to apologize for. I expected it to happen sooner.
Before now, I just felt, I don't know, numb. Like this wasn't really happening. But I'm not a delicate flower, Mr. Wolf. I can take bad news. If you've determined that my sister's dead, I want you to level with me.
I will. If it becomes necessary. I promise. But so far, that isn't the case. Feel better now?
6:45, Miss White.
Not better, but back under control at least. Indulging my one vice here helps. Chocolate cures all ills.
Why don't you let me handle things from now on?
Not a chance. I've had my one loss of composure. You won't have to worry about further emotional fits from me.
Don't beat up on yourself so much, Snow. Sometimes pitching a fit is just the right way to interrogate a suspect.
Who do we see next?
I think we'll take Jack's advice and go see the reclusive Mr. Bluebeard. He still lives in the building, right?
Since it was built. Do you want one of these?
I don't eat sweets. I'd heard Bluebeard was well off. So what's he doing down on the 4th floor? Why don't he take one of the bigger apartments higher up?
You'll see.
Yes?
We called ahead. Your boss is expecting us.
Very well. Come in. Follow me, please.
No, I get it now. He's got himself another one of those magical big spaces within a smaller space. Like your office. How'd he pull this off?
He was one of the fortunate few to get out of the homelands with his riches.
And his whole bloody castle, too.
Rumor has it that he ran his own underground railroad and smuggled other fables out of the homelands, even after the adversary's armies had moved in. But he charged a dear price for his services.
So many of our fellow exiles' lost fortunes fell into his hands rather than the adversary.
So I'm told, but we'll never know for sure, because that was pre-amnesty business. He had to pay the wizardly types big to fit an entire castle inside a small apartment. They don't work cheap.
Your guest, sir.
Thank you for agreeing to see us, Mr. Bluebeard. We won't take up much of your time.
Not to worry. Sit down, make yourselves at home. I assume you're here to collect my annual contribution towards the support of our government? I usually give it directly to Kingcole at the Remembrance Day gathering, but if you need it early this year...
That's not why we're here. Take a look at these photos. They were taken in Rose Red's apartment last night. And all that blood is hers.
Oh dear.
All we need to know is why you killed her.
What? How dare you!
Wolf!
How dare I what? Speak rudely to a mass murderer. And that's what you do, right? You marry them, and then gut them.
Mr. Wolf, that's enough.
You are an impertinent man, and I demand satisfaction.
Fuck your satisfaction. I think you killed her, and I'm ready to arrest you for it now. Convenient trial, Snow. I'm charging this pompous asswipe with Rose Red's murder. He isn't cooperating. He's refused to answer a single question.
You haven't asked any. I'm willing to cooperate.
Then quit your fucking disassembling and answer. Did you kill her?
No!
Did you harm her in any way?
No, never.
Where were you the night before last?
Here. All day. And all night. I seldom go out.
A year ago you were socially buddy-buddy with Rose. Were you two romantically involved, or was she just a trophy date for public occasions?
Romantically.
And you got mad when she dumped you to slide her way back to her old boyfriend.
No, because she never dumped me, to use your own crude vernacular. We're still together, though we've learned to be discreet about our relationship. A year ago, at the Remembrance Day Gala, Rose Red and I became engaged. For reasons all her own, she insisted on keeping our engagement secret for 1 calendar year, a condition to which I agreed.
Well, ain't that a big kick in the pantaloons? Is he telling the truth?
I don't know.
Of course I'm telling the truth. I'm no liar, and in this case I can prove it.
How?
Because we formalized our engagement in writing. I assume you can verify her signature?
You made my sister sign a contract promising to marry you?
Only because there was a payment involved. A year ago I paid her a considerable dowry. If such a term also applies to a payment made by the prospective groom to the prospective bride. Rose Red was, and remains, my fiancée. If she has truly fallen victim to some violent act, I'm personally devastated, and will be revenged. But for the moment, I'm offering a reward of $1 million for the discovery and capture of whoever perpetrated this foul deed.
That's the last load, Bigby. Can we go now?
The Greenwich Village apartment building of the possibly former Rose Red.
Not a chance, boys. All this crap up here was just the first act. Your workday's barely begun. The biggest problem with my investigation is that I don't know if I'm looking for a live woman or a corpse. The only way to determine that is to recreate the blood evidence. That's what you two are going to do this morning.
Okay, Super Sleuth.
This apartment is directly below Rose Red's, and its floor plan matches hers. First, you're going to set up this junk to duplicate as much as possible her furniture layout. Then comes the fun part I promised. You get to make a big mess. Using these pre-measured packets of blood, you're going to recreate the spatter patterns of the apartment above.
Cool.
Keep an exact count of how much blood you have to use to match the scene upstairs. Then we'll know how much of Rose Red's blood was actually spilled. Use these photos from the real crime scene to make your recreation as accurate as possible. If you absolutely have to, you can go up to check out the actual scene, but don't tramp all over the evidence. And God help you if you let any Monday see anything, or if you forget to lock up after yourselves.
You need to get more on the lower shelves, Flycatcher.
Boy Blue's in charge. Come in my office when you're done.
The Woodland Building on the Upper West Side.
You wanted to see me, Your Honor?
The penthouse residence of Kingcole, unofficial mayor for life of Fabletown.
Oh, we don't need to stand on formalities, Snow. Not when it's just you and me. Come in.
Thank you, sir. What can I do for you this morning?
I'm troubled by this unfortunate situation with your sister. Tragic, awful business. I understand you're assisting Bigby with his investigation.
Yes, sir. I know it's not the normal way of things, but in this case, I thought it was appropriate considering she's mine.
Yes, of course. No trouble there. Entirely understandable. Blood relations need to look after each other. We can let other business slide for a day or two. Only...
Sir?
I received a call last night. A complaint, actually. Bluebeard, big annual donor, community leader. Claims you and Mr. Wolf accused him. Murder! Burst in on him screaming and shouting.
To be accurate, we didn't burst in on him. Bluebeard invited us in. But the rest is true. Bigby did accuse him rather loudly of murder.
Why?
I have no idea. It came out of the blue. In fact, he did the same thing with Jack of the Tails. So far as I can tell, Bigby's sole investigation strategy seems to consist of going from suspect to suspect and accusing them.
Do you think he may be in over his head? After all, he wasn't a detective in the old lands, a beast of the most unruly sort, a killer. Is this job too much for him?
Who's to say? So far, he's been the poster child for reform. His record's been spotless since the general amnesty, and I don't know enough about the detective racket to fairly evaluate his performance. So far, more or less in order. We've talked to Jack. As her current boyfriend, he was our first obvious choice for the perpetrator.
I'm innocent.
He claims not to know anything about Rose's disappearance, but I'm not so sure. Once a rogue, always a rogue. Currently, Bigby has him cooling his heels in the basement detention cell.
You may not have done anything this time, Jack, but you were never innocent.
Then we interviewed Bluebeard. You already heard how well that went. My guess is Bigby accused him just to shake him out of that superior artiso pose he always affects around us lowly civil servants.
How dare you treat me in such a fashion?
Boo fucking who?
It worked. Bluebeard surprised us with a document that apparently proves he's contractually engaged to marry Rose shortly after Remembrance Day. I dearly hope it's a fake, because amnesty or not, I can't blithely forget what happened to each of his past wives.
Why would I kill her while we're currently happily betrothed?
Our theory with him is that he got jealous when Rose dumped him to go back to Jack. So he did his trademark horrible thing to her. But the problem with that scenario is that in the past, his MO was to kill them only after wedding them, on their wedding night, in fact. Then, we dropped in to see the Black Forest Witch.
I've been good, Gaffa-Wolf.
Yeah, your record's been clean since you came to town. But I can't help but wonder if you haven't turned back to your old eating habits. What do you say, Granny? Growing tired of the taste of gingerbread?
We caught up with my ex-husband, Prince Charming, last night in the Brandstock Tavern. Bigby took him aside so I didn't have to hear the conversation, but it didn't look all that friendly.
Your pampered lifestyle began to go downhill shortly after Snow caught you in bed with her sister. We both know you're too much of a narcissistic asshole to ever blame yourself for any of your many failings. So did you blame Rose? Have you been nursing a grudge against her for all these years? She disappeared a few days after you got back in town. A nice coincidence, huh?
You are a tedious, small man, and in need of more frequent bathing.
And sooner or later, Kingcole, you're going to find out that Bigby considers me a suspect as well. He got my interview out of the way late last night. I have no idea if he decided anything as a result of it.
You and your sister have been friends for a long time.
Which has been public knowledge for years. If I really hated her enough to kill her, why would I wait until now to act on it?
Because until recently, you were the number 2 authority in the Fabletown government, and able to throw your weight around to cover your tracks. Against my wishes, you've inserted yourself into my investigation, and you have the power to fire me if I get too close. Not a bad advantage for a murderer to have.
True enough. And I'll keep that in mind if I ever do decide to kill anyone. Finally, Bigby said we should keep the adversary in mind. His bloody conquest of the Fable realms may not have ended after some of us were able to escape to the Mundy world. Maybe some of his agents have followed us into exile to continue his war against us.
Bad business, Miss White, horrible to contemplate, but still, in the face of such tragedy, we must consider other matters, too. Remembrance Day is almost upon us again. Have to consider that too, right? Any way to have this mess cleared up by then?
I couldn't say.
Fabletown is our first responsibility, you and me. It's all on our shoulders. It's a noble experiment, but fragile, tenuous, made up of a dozen factions and hundreds of old grudges. It could easily come apart over this incident.
I realize that, sir, but...
Remembrance Day is more than a big party. It's when we get most of our contributions, our operating budget for the next year, and wallets close to the extent that confidence in our tiny government diminishes. Understand?
I believe so.
Of course you do. You're smart, competent. You figure things out. Do what you need to do, but have this wrapped up by the gala. I'm ready. The tray, please. Got it. Thank you. Now, if you'll get the door.
Good hunting, sir.
Kingcole surprised me. You managed to hold out for 2 whole days before putting pressure on me to get this case settled.
Where did you get all that?
From Jack's apartment, and I just finished tossing it. It was full of computers. At least 6 complete systems. I borrowed one so that you can snoop through it. Maybe figure out what he's doing with them.
Why me? Why don't you do it?
Because I can't use the damn things. The machines hate me. I'm a genetic Luddite and capable of operating anything more complex than my toaster.
And what are you going to be doing while I'm doing your work for you?
This and that. It's about Jack's lunchtime, so I'll see to it. And I still have a few nagging details to figure out about the case.
Implying that you've already solved most of it.
Yep. And I solved the bulk of it within the first hour. I pretty much know what happened and most of how, but I'm still short on some of the who and why.
And when exactly are you planning to clue me in?
The very moment I'm convinced you aren't the villain in this mystery.
At least tell me if she's dead or alive.
We'll see.
You can be one frustrating son of a bitch!
Literally, in my case. But she was never less than loving and nurturing. The best mother any boy could want. When are you planning to see the lovely Prince Charming again?
Never would be nice. Why?
Because I want you to help him sell his title. But not quite in the way he has in mind.
Why would you care about that? What are you up to?
A mad but improbable scheme to make everything come out right in the end without any further bloodshed. And just maybe the Fable community doesn't disintegrate in the process. Probably won't work though.
And in Rose Red's apartment building.
No, Flycatcher, pay attention. Happily, not happening. Happily. Happily. No more happily ever after. No more happening ever after? Makes no sense. Not even for a guy who eats bugs for lunch.
I slip up and eat 1 or 2 flies. After 100 years of normal, human eating habits, and I'm branded for life. Perfect!
I think we're done. I think we did it.
So how much blood did we use?
In the lobby of the Woodland.
Wake up, Grimble. Sorry to interrupt your first in a grueling schedule of daily naps, but I need the keys to the detention cell.
Why?
It's time to feed the prisoner.
Again? Are you trying to fatten him up for the slaughter? If you're going to treat prisoners this well, I volunteer to be your next one.
What are you talking about?
Hi, Lord Mucky Muck just bought your boy a big damn meal not 10 minutes ago. Garlic roasted hen if my nose hasn't started lying to me.
Who was it?
Bluebeard, his own royal self, that's who. He said you authorized it. In any case, if you want the keys, you're gonna have to get them from him, because he ain't returned them yet.
Damn it.
I didn't do anything to her!
You might as well tell me everything now, boy. I'm content to cut at you all day and all night until you confess. Talk now, and you can save yourself some pain.
Drop the knife and back away from the boy. Or I'll rip your fucking throat out.
Oh, look. After all these years, the wolf has finally shed his sheep's clothing to once more show us the true beast underneath. Most of us knew it was only a matter of time before you reverted to your old ways, Bigby. Nature cannot be denied.
Get him, Bigby! He's trying to kill me!
Nonsense! If I were trying to kill him, he'd be dead now. I don't intend to kill the boy until after I've bled the truth out of him. Go away for another hour, Wolf, and young Jack will beg me for the chance to tell us what he did to Rose, and where we can find her, or her body.
That's not how we do things anymore. Back away from him, Bluebeard. If I have to lay my hands on you, it won't end until one of us is dead on the floor.
So, do you imagine you'd be the first of your kind I've had to kill? I kept my land free of such vermin for centuries.
Always from the safety of a lance's distance, I'd bet. With plenty of armed men around you to keep out any real danger. Let's see how you do this time with only one thin tooth to help you.
Point taken, but there's no way you could reach me before I slit this rascal's throat.
You don't want to do that!
Be my guest. I'd love to have that menace out of my life.
Bigby, don't put ideas in his head! He's just kidding, Bluebeard. Don't listen to him. He actually likes me a lot.
And then I could kill you with full justification.
Wait, both of you! You want to talk ourselves into a rash decision here? Let's all step back, take a deep breath, declare a moment's moratorium on the chest thumping, and see if we can't think things through a bit more rationally, okay? Guys?
Hurry.
Pick up my shoes, Jack.
Has it escaped your nose? I'm bleeding. I need a doctor.
Poor baby.
Whoa.
Yikes!
Where's the fire, kids?
We're coming to your rescue.
My hero.
Someone get me to a doctor. I'm bleeding to death.
Calm down, Jack. You're fine. John, will you and Gribble take Jack up to use the first aid kit behind the desk, and then get him to his apartment, and make sure he stays put.
Where's Bluebeard?
He volunteered to take Jack's place in custody. I hope he likes the cell. He's gonna be in it for a long time. He was in the middle of torturing Jack when I caught him.
Why?
Apparently, he believes some of the more outrageous rumors about what actually happened to Rose Red. What were you planning to do with the big toad sticker?
Help you.
I'm flattered. But glad you didn't arrive earlier. Bluebeard is every bit the accomplished swordsman that you aren't. He might have taken that thing away from you and done bad things to the both of us with it.
Not before I got at least one good chop at him, and that would have been enough. This is the Vorpal blade of Jabberwocky fame. Kills in one cut. Snicker snack and all that. Does all the fighting for you.
Oh, joy. Then don't carry it that way, or you're likely to cut your own head off. I need you to be in one piece with a big party next week.
Excuse me?
Well, I'd look pretty damn silly dragging a helpless woman around the dance floor.
When did we decide I'm going to the gala with you? For that matter, when did you decide to go? You never go to the Remembrance Day celebration.
I can't avoid it this year. If there's any chance to work everything out, I need to be there. You have to go with my date. It's all very complicated and I can't explain it yet, so just go along.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go home and change. Keep your pants on, I'm coming! Hello? What? Oh yeah. Sorry, I've been out of touch for most of the day. How did you find out? Oh. Okay.
Not yet. I've got more bad news for the two of you. You need to clean up the place. Mop, wax, scrub, and paint until you return it to pristine condition. And you need to work fast, because we can only afford to rent the place for 2 days.
When you're done with that, go up to Rose Red's place and do the same thing from top to bottom. Nope, I no longer need to preserve the evidence.
Then, last of all, take the ruined furniture from both apartments out to the dump and burn it. And don't let the Mondays catch you. When you've done all that, and only then, you can come home.
Yeah, well, my heart bleeds for you. You know what? They say the only easy day was yesterday.
Hours later.
Bigby, glad you wandered back in before going to bed. You won't believe what Jack's been up to this time. Seems our Jack is the sole owner of DreamWorlds.com. Some kind of adventure tour startup company that he's been trying to take public for nearly a year.
I was halfway hoping you'd have gone home for the night, so that I could put this off till tomorrow morning.
Trust Jack to try to ride the wave of the .com investment hysteria only after everyone's finally gotten wise to them. It looks like he lost a bundle with this latest get-rich-quick scheme.
Snow, you need to prepare yourself for some bad news.
But where did Jack get the bundle to lose? What did you say?
The average adult female has a little more than 9 pints of blood. Irreversible shock occurs when 40% or more of that volume is lost. I just heard that a minimum of 5 pints of Rose's blood was spilled in her apartment.
But... no, don't say that.
That means that there's no hope that Rose is still alive. I'm sorry.
And just like that, the big day arrived. Fabletown's grandest event of the year, like Christmas and 4th of July, multiplied many times over.
At the front door by twilight, as promised, my love.
Lady Beauty, Lord Beast, how grand you both look tonight. And I'll be a rogue if you don't look completely human again, sir. Congratulations.
It's my wife's fault. She loves everything about this day, including me, it seems, enough to make me handsome again.
Don't start.
Here you go, John.
Oh, no, sir. Tickets are taken at the ballroom door, up on the 19th floor.
Where do we buy lottery tickets?
At the security desk, ma'am. Just inside.
Come on. I want to buy a few more tickets before the drawing tonight.
Why? They cost a bundle we can't afford, all for the chance of winning a kingdom in a place we can't ever get to again. We already have our own worthless lands and castle, forever lost in the homelands. Why go into Hawk to win more lost lands and another useless title?
Because they were your lands and your title. I was just a peasant girl who married into money. I want something of my own. If I win, I'll be a princess in my own right.
But still working for minimum wage in a bookstore.
Don't spoil the evening, darling.
$100 a ticket, but $50 if you buy 5 at a time. This is marvelous, Snow. Do you see now why I needed your help? It never would have occurred to me that the best way to sell my royal title was to hold a lottery.
All sorts of things never occur to you, dear. I suppose it would have been too much to expect to be born smart as well as privileged.
Ouch. How much have we made so far?
As of this morning, we were closing in on 300 grand. But sales have picked up today. I'd be surprised if we haven't doubled that amount by now.
Lovely. Who would have thought that so many would willingly spend so much for a slight chance to win absolutely nothing of substance?
No wonder they call lotteries taxes on stupid people.
Are you going to act like this all night? When did you forget how to enjoy yourself? I swear you've had that same scowl on your face for the past 300 or 400 years.
You ought to know. You helped put it there.
Isn't there a statute of limitations on the playing the poor abused victim? Why dwell on one unfortunate incident so long ago? You're lovely and eternally young. Make the most of it, Snow Bunny. Move on. In fact, tonight you're an exceptionally lovely woman. Did you dress up for anyone in particular, or is this for my benefit?
Honey, if we don't hurry upstairs, we'll miss the secret reading.
Pardon me, but you've suddenly grown wearisome and pedestrian. I imagine that will only grow worse after tonight. Do try to have a pleasant final evening as a former somebody, before you officially become just another nobody.
Once, we were 1,000 separate kingdoms spread over 100 magic worlds. We were kings and cobblers, wizards or woodcarvers. We had our sinners, our saints, and our blatant social climbers. And from the grandest lord to the lowliest peasant girl, we were, for the most part, strangers to one another. It took an invasion to unite us. Beyond the farthest shores of Never, the adversary lived in a remote kingdom, ignored by other powers as his strength and ambitions grew over the long centuries. Some say he was a mere woodland sprite, while others claim he was once a god, thrown down from the vast heavens when his corruptions had become too great for his lofty brethren to tolerate. Whatever his true origins, he grew into a dark thing of infinite hunger, and after he conquered his own lands, putting each of its former kings to the sword, he turned his unquenchable appetite to our direction. When the Emerald Kingdom fell, we tisk-tisked and tut-tutted in our homes, sad for the fates of those unfortunate souls, but we weren't tempted to intervene. After all, they were always odd folks, and ever so far away. It wasn't our business. Then the kingdom of the Great Lion fell, and, again, we did nothing, because we always found the old lion to be a bit too pompous and holier-than-thou for our tastes. And one by one, our scattered lands fell under the adversary's dominion, swallowed up in his ever-growing empire. Had we banded together early, we might have been able to stop him. By the time we realized he wasn't merely interested in conquering that land or those people, that he was coming after all of us, it was too late. He'd grown too powerful. Many of us didn't have the chance to run. Some of us survived, too few, alone or in small groups, over the span of many years, of lifetimes. We hid, and ran, and avoided capture. We lived as outlaws and phantoms. Until we could make our way here, to this dreary, mundane place, the one world the adversary seemed to take no interest in. And here, united by our common enemy, we learned to set aside old grudges. We forgave our many grievances to make covenant with each other. And now, predator and prey, prince and pauper, we are all of a single community. allied in our undying memory of the homelands, and the unshakable determination that one day we will return to win those lands free of the hated one. Ladies and gentlemen, lift your glasses and join me, please, in drinking this toast. To the homelands!
Elsewhere throughout the city tonight in private homes and treasured public places, and in the upstate homes where our more inhuman members dwell, other glasses are raised by those who couldn't be with us here tonight, but are still citizens of Fabletown, and are equally determined never to forget.
Hi, Pinocchio. I haven't seen you in a while. Enjoying the party?
No. I'm most certainly not having a good time. I never have a good time with this ridiculous celebration.
Then why do you come each year?
Because sooner or later, that blue fairy who turned me into a real boy is gonna show her face at one of these things, and I'm gonna kick her pretty azure ass.
Why? I thought you wanted to become a real boy.
Of course I did, but who knew I'd stay a boy forever? The ditzy bits interpreted my wish too literally. I'm over 3 centuries old, and I still haven't gone through puberty! I want to grow up, I want my balls to drop, and I want to get laid!
Both of you, quit your damn bitching and crying.
But we're missing the party!
Try to get it into your thick skulls that you're not only going to miss this Remembrance Day celebration, but the next 100 of them to follow. I've got enough on you two to send you both up to the farm for a century of hard labor. But maybe there's a way for all of us to avoid that harsh necessity.
Bullshit, Bigby. Sure, you got Bluebeard here because you got him red-handed torturing me.
Shut up, you pathetic bleating child.
But you got nothing on me. Nothing you can prove, anyway.
You're about to find out exactly how much I can prove. But until I bring the hammer down, you can both go to what's left of the party, provided you stay at least a dozen yards away from each other at all times. Bluebeard, you've got just enough time to clean up and get your annual donation into our beloved mayor's pocket, which will remind us of what a good and supportive citizen you are. And this time, please leave the guns, daggers, and battle axes at home, please. And Jack, we're going to talk privately for a bit. Then you're going to demonstrate your helpful nature by delivering a message from me to one of the party's guests.
Why don't you run your own damn errands?
Partly because I've already missed too much of the party, but mostly because this is what you have to do if you want to keep your freedom.
Are we still serving soup?
We're almost out of goose liver. Should we put out for more, or...?
Better put out something fast. This crowd's eating anything in sight. No. Too much stirring. The sauce must be allowed to caramelize.
Where are my Cornish hens? Who took them?
Shallots? But you clearly said red onions.
You hurry up and you slow down. Everything must be coordinated to arrive at the proper time.
I finally made it. Backstage at the grandest event of the year. Yum.
Are you on the menu?
Oh gosh, I sure hope not.
There you are. Don't you look nice?
I was beginning to think I'd been stood up.
No matter. You always go to this thing stag, right? So it's not as if you'd suffer any embarrassment if I never showed.
My God, are you completely devoid of social skills?
Probably. Come on, we need to be out on the dance floor.
Why? Is this another part of your scheme to catch my sister's killer?
Could be. Now, show me how we do this.
You've never danced before?
Never.
Put your hands here and here. A little more gently, please. I'm not some suspect you're about to wrestle to the ground. Now, follow my lead and try to stay off my feet.
Yes, dear.
Look up.
Then I can't see my feet.
Do it anyway. You look like you're trying to peek down my dress.
So, why would you wear a neckline like that if you didn't want people to look?
Perhaps women wear low necklines to filter out the gentlemen from the dogs. Those few who can still maintain eye contact, even in the presence of breasts like these, might actually have some potential.
Woof.
Ouch! Watch your feet.
But you just said not to watch my feet.
Oh my. Is he your date, princess? You poor girl.
Don't literally watch your feet. Just kindly stop from stomping all over mine.
Got it. So how long do we have to do this before we eat?
Mr. Wolf, you've got some cool moves.
Don't ask me. Dancing was your idea.
A very bad idea. I didn't anticipate being the center of so much attention. Case in point, let's go eat or drink. Let's do anything other than this.
Okay, but you are so late that most of the good food is already gone. But don't worry. I'm an old veteran at these affairs. And I'll let you in on a big secret. The caterers always steal the best of the real delicacies for themselves. They keep the good stuff locked away in the back, then sneak it home after the party. If you like, we can raid the kitchen and make those pirates surrender a share of the loot, in exchange for not blowing the whistle on them.
That's it.
What's what?
You just solved the last nagging bit of the mystery.
Did I?
Of course. Rose was a party girl. People, Fable, and Mundy alike were in and out of her apartment constantly, often whether she was there or not. She put the padlock on her freezer to keep anyone from getting at the good stuff.
So far, I'm not following you.
It wasn't really important, but it was the only piece of the puzzle I couldn't work out. Now it's finally complete. Do you want to know who killed Rose Red?
Of course.
Then spread the word, discreetly. Anyone who's interested in what happened and who did it should head upstairs to Kingcole's terrace, right after the lottery drawing.
And the winning ticket is...
Does his royal nibs know you sneak up here to use his pool when he's not around?
Who knows? If he does, he's never complained.
Mind if I bum a smoke?
I guess not. Did you finish your errands, Jack?
That's Prince Jack to you, commoner.
Oh no, don't tell me.
Yep, I won the goddamn lottery, and I only bought a single ticket on a lark. Ain't that a kick in the nads? All my life I've been trying one crazy scheme after another to make it big, and all I had to do was buy a ticket.
Too bad it's all worthless.
True, we can all dream about the day when we kick the adversaries' asses out of our old lands, including my new old lands now. But anyone who's not a romantic fool knows it's never gonna happen. Ready to begin your show? It looks like the rubes have arrived.
Just remember to do your part on cue, Your Highness. This is it. In the mystery novels, this is called the parlor scene, where the clever detective reveals all. If this were work of fiction, the author would pause the story here to ask the readers if they put all the clues together yet.
Oh, do get on with it, young man.
Sorry, sir, but in our secret hearts, every real cop longs for a moment like this, and a damn few get one. Indulge me, please. Jack, will you ask our villain to join us now?
Anything you say, Buana.
You've got her murderer here?
Yes, I suspected the killer couldn't resist attending our annual ball, and I had Jack circulate among the guests to look for her.
Huh?
Who?
Do we have to do this?
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Rose Red's killer. Rose Red.
How in all hells? I demand an explanation!
How did you pull a trick like this?
Rose!
But there was way too much blood.
Which we had to clean.
Rose, Why did you do it? If you weren't killed, then...
An investigation!
One at a time.
If you'd all return to your seats.
Sit down, you goofs. It's just a go back from the dead.
How did you... Why would you put us all through this?
It's not my fault.
Everyone calm down, sit down, and stop talking for just a moment. And I'll tell you all what she did, how she did it, and why she did it.
Despite what you see on TV, the typical cop's life can best be described as unending hours of mind-numbing drudgery. Gunfights and car chases are few and far between. They generate so much extra paperwork, and second-guessing by everyone not involved, that no sane cop welcomes such breaks in the general tedium of police work. And no honest cop ever gets rich. At least a Monday cop gets to retire after 20 to 40 years. I've been on the job for more than 200 years. Ever since the first days of the Fables and Exile Compact and General Amnesty. I've never been in a gunfight, or fired a gun for that matter. I've never been in a car chase, much less learned to drive. And even the number of times I've had to chase a suspect on foot can be counted on one hand. All in all, I can't say I've had what could be described as an exciting career, or even a very interesting one. But once in a great while, small rewards do come along. Anyone who's ever fancied himself a detective, openly or secretly, longs for the day he can do the famous parlor room scene.
What the hell is that?
It's the moment where I get to reveal who did what, how they did it, and most important, how I figured it all out.
But we all have to go to a parlor first.
No, Flycatcher. The actual setting doesn't matter. This will do fine.
Then get on with it, Mr. Wolf. Tell your story. I can't tolerate the suspense.
When the Lord Mayor of Fabletown commands, I can only obey. My suspicions about the true nature of this case were raised the very moment I first learned of it. We're on the Upper West Side, far away from Rose Red's apartment down in the village. Jack had to take a cab up here in order to report the so-called crime. Jack's in pretty good shape. A simple run to my office from a cab parked outside shouldn't have winded him. But he arrived frantic and out of breath.
A terrible thing happened.
Why? Because he needed to sell me on the fiction that he just discovered a horrible crime and rushed right over to report it. And being Jack, he overdid it.
I told you to be subtle, jackass.
But...
You two stay out in the hall. So, tipped off in advance not to take anything at face value, I took a look at Rose Red's apartment. Within seconds, it was obvious that it was a staged crime scene, and staged badly at that. Blood was spilled and spattered everywhere, all over every surface of Rose's living room. No one could have gone in and out of there after the violence without leaving plenty of footprints. And yet Jack said he'd searched the place looking for Rose.
Check the bedroom to see if she's in there.
I already checked. She's not here. Why couldn't it be I was just careful to skip and hop over the blood splatters like you did to preserve the evidence?
Oh sure, that makes perfect sense.
Not a chance, Jack. No one encountering a scene like that worries about preserving evidence while his lady love may still be in the back room bleeding her life away. But that was far from your only amateur mistake. The next time you two try to stage a crime scene, you should actually knock things over rather than carefully place them in positions you want them to end up in. The pole lamp was knocked over, but its light bulbs were still intact. Rose Red's favorite handmade ceramic ashtray was supposedly knocked to the floor, without so much as chipping it. Rose must have wanted to preserve her radio set, because it miraculously avoided getting spattered, even though blood was liberally splashed to each side of it. She wanted to save the best of her music collection as well. Compact discs spread out all over the floor make for good set decoration when one wants to suggest that a violent struggle has taken place. But she was only willing to sacrifice the CDs she didn't like so much, the ones in the back, to scatter on the floor. The CDs she played the most, the ones in the front, were untouched.
See, I told you we should have used some of your good CDs.
Shut up.
You made it pretty obvious that one or both of you expected to make future use of the stereo and such. But Rose wouldn't have considered those things while fighting for her life. You didn't care about your old secondhand toaster, so you used it to add to the picture of chaotic mess. But untidy as it was, your kitchen was untouched by the fictional struggle. So how did the toaster make it from your kitchen to the middle of your living room floor?
Okay, Wolf, enough already with the stereo sets and toasters. You've impressed us all with how easily you snuffed out the truth. But what I want to know is this. If you knew from the beginning that Rose was alive, why did you go on pretending to investigate?
Hold on, Tiger. Pull your claws back in.
How could you let me go for days, weeks, thinking my sister was dead when all along you knew she wasn't?
Pay attention. I only know for certain that your sister participated in staging the crime scene. I didn't know she wasn't dead. In fact, I had pretty compelling evidence that she was.
But you said...
There was more blood at the scene than any one person could lose and still be alive. And I knew it all belonged to Rose Red. Discovering that the crime scene was staged was a far cry from solving the entire mystery. There were too many possibilities to fit the available evidence. Rose could have planned it to make her suicide look like a murder. Or she could have participated in the scam to fake her death, not realizing that her partner in crime decided to make it a real murder scene. But it wasn't either of those, of course. The copious amounts of blood were the one part of their plan where Jack and Rose had thoroughly outsmarted me. For a while. Snow, you were the one who gave me the final clue. You helped me fit the last nagging pieces into place.
How?
Earlier this evening while we were dancing at the gala. Let's eat.
Too late. The good food is already gone.
You said something about locking the food away to keep the party guests from getting to it.
But we can raid the kitchen. The caterers always keep the good stuff locked away in the back.
That's how they did it. The average person can give up a pint of blood every 6 weeks without suffering any ill effects. They had to have had this idiot scheme planned for some time, because it took a while for Rose to collect the 5 or 6 pints of her own blood needed to convince us that she was dead. They stored her blood in her freezer so it would still be fresh when they needed it. But they always had so many people over. They needed some way to keep their guests from discovering the blood packets. Which is why they needed to keep her freezer compartment locked up. Which explains why I found a padlock in their utility drawer that fit the matching holes drilled into the freezer door.
That may be all well and good, but it still doesn't get you off the hook for keeping me in the dark.
I had to, as long as you were one of the suspects.
Suspect? How could anyone be a suspect in a murder that never took place?
Not even Rose Red would fake her own death without good reason. From day one of the investigation, I wasn't looking for her killer. I was looking for the person she was so afraid of, who made her go to all of this effort. Until I determined that, I couldn't risk telling any of you that she was still alive.
So, who was she so afraid of?
Bluebeard.
Why him?
Rose, want to answer that one for us? Because of this. Remember this, Snow? It's the marriage contract your sister signed last year, in return for a considerable amount of money. Here, in a nutshell, is what happened, and why. Most of this I can't prove, but it's all backed up by at least some evidence. Jack had another one of his all-too-numerous get-rich-quick schemes. It was an idea for one of those .com startups, if you can believe it. Trust Jack to try to jump on a bandwagon long after it's passed by. Startups like that take money. And typically Jack turns to his girlfriend to get it.
It's a sure thing, Honey Bear. And when I get rich, I can pay you back, and you can pay him back.
I don't know, Jack.
In order to raise the money Jack needed, Rose and Jack faked a messy public breakup, after which she agreed to marry Bluebeard, who'd been after her for some time. But she had some conditions. She wanted a lot of upfront dowry money, and the engagement had to be kept secret for exactly 1 year. That gave Jack enough time to make his fortune, and then Rose would pay Bluebeard back, and reluctantly break off their secret engagement. Unfortunately, Jack lost all that money, down the same black hole where everyone else lost their .com investments. So, as the year began to run out, knowing full well that a man like Bluebeard wouldn't simply forgive the debt, or the unethical way they extracted the money from him, Jack and Rose cooked up their scheme to get her out of her impending nuptials.
Faking your death? Are you kidding me, Rose? How long did you imagine that would work?
We needed a way to buy more time, just until we figured out another way to
land yourself in much more trouble than you were in originally?
Neither Rose nor Jack earned renown for their intelligence. Working together, they couldn't help but reach new lows of imbecility.
Oh yeah, peasant scum! If I'm so dumb and you're so smart, how did I now have the titles and land you used to own?
Why do you think they call it dumb luck, Prince Knuckle Dragger?
Enough of this! Stop it! Both of you! All of you! By God, I'll have order now, or I'll have some heads on the chopping block! Mr. Wolf, is there anything else you've yet to reveal?
No, I've pretty much told all of it.
Then, what are we to do now?
Who knows? I've done my job by figuring everything out. It's up to you and Snow to work out what to do about it. But I have some suggestions, if you'd care to hear about them, in private.
I'm the injured party here. I've been cheated out of my money and bride. I'll have satisfaction from these two. His blood on my blade, and her hand in marriage, as she is contracted to do.
And I have some money coming too. You've yet to pay me for the glorious millions I've earned for the raffle of my title and estates.
We'll settle all of that later. For now, it's late. Everyone go home and stay there. The mayor, the sheriff, and I will meet to work things out, and summon you as you're needed, so don't anyone wander off.
The next day.
Bigby, will you please stop snooping and sit down?
Sorry, Snow, but I've never seen your apartment before. You've done well for yourself. It's nice. And big, too. My entire apartment could fit inside your bathroom.
I've worked hard for what I've earned. This place is one of the few benefits of running the entire goddamn Fable community. Now please sit down so we can finish this up.
What's left to decide? You've worked it all out so that no one ends up happy.
But at least the misery's spread out as much as possible.
And Kingcole will go along with this?
The mayor's job is to glad hand and set general policy. It's my job to work out the dirty details. He'll go along with what I decide.
No one's gonna be very happy with you after today.
Who fucking who? I'll try to live with the loss.
When did you start cussing so much?
Now let's get to it. Bring them to me, in this order, at these places, and I'll handle the actual bloodletting. Don't you dare light that until you leave.
So here we are, my sweet. Back at the same table, in the same place where we originally kicked off our plan that made me rich again. Full circle, you might say. Do you have my money?
Here you go. Don't spend it all in one place, darling.
Where's the rest?
That's all of it. Less the pre-agreed fees and expenses, of course.
What sort of unethical nonsense is this? The raffle brought in millions, and yet there's barely $30,000 here.
Less. 20,000 and some change. You should have read our agreement more closely before signing it. It allowed me to take out all reasonable expenses before you get your share, and I am the sole arbiter of what constitutes as a reasonable expense. The money we raised is needed to pay off Bluebeard and the cost of the investigation. You're lucky I gave you the leftovers.
But none of that is my responsibility.
Too bad. You should never have slept with my sister. Now, if I were you, I'd use what's left to buy your title back from Jack. I bet he can be bought cheap, and you'd never make it as a poor commoner. Bye, love. You'll pick up the check. Thank you, Lord Bluebeard, for coming by so promptly.
Yes, well, your pet wolf didn't give me the impression I had any choice in the matter.
This is America, where we all have freedom of choice. For example, this case contains all of the money you originally gave to my sister as her dowry, in cash. If you choose to accept it as your only repayment for all of the wrongs you've suffered, then everything can end nicely.
There is still the matter of the wedding.
That's off.
But I have a contract!
Yes, a contract you broke. You promised, as one of the conditions of your agreement with my sister, to keep the engagement a secret for 1 year, specifically until the night of the Remembrance Day celebration.
So?
So, you told Bigby and me about it several days before the celebration.
Only when we all thought she'd been murdered. Only in response to your questions in an official investigation.
So, you broke the conditions of the contract, making it null and void. You're lucky enough that we're willing to reimburse the money you've lost. We don't have to.
I won't stand for this!
Then I have no choice but to take back the money and reinstate the charges against you for the attempted murder of Jack while he was in custody.
Unfortunately, that means your head goes the way of so many of your past wives' heads.
Choppy choppy. So sloppy.
Here's the deal, kids. You both get to keep your heads and stay out of jail. But you're on probation for 1 year, and you each owe 200 hours of community service and $10,000 in fines.
We don't have that kind of money.
It might as well be $1 million each.
You'll have it by the end of the day. My sources tell me ex-Prince Charming is willing to pay at least that much to get his lands and title back.
So that's it. No one ends up with anything.
You end up with your freedom, which is more than either of you deserves. And you keep that much only as long as you behave.
And we all managed to live happily ever after all. More or less.
Less, rather than more, I'm afraid. No one's happy, but at least maybe we've kept them from killing each other.
That's good enough for me.
This was one long, exhausting day. I'm officially beat.
But you handled yourself well. After seeing you work today, I'm glad we're on the same side.
No, all I did was throw my weight around. You're the one that saved the day. You figured everything out. You're really not a half-bad detective.
Damning me with faint praise?
Something like that. Only...
Yes?
There's still one thing I don't understand. Why did you need me to be your date at the Remembrance Day celebration?
I explained that at the time.
No, you didn't. You said it was necessary to help you solve the case, but you never explained why. How did that help you? Why was it necessary at all?
Well, I think the reason should be obvious.
Then I must just be a dim bulb tonight. I need the obvious interpreted for me.
I wanted you to go to the damn dance with me. As my date.
Seriously? You were too shy or afraid to ask me to go to the gala with you, so you pretended it was business related?
Yeah, that's about it.
That's pathetic.
Really? I was hoping for something more along the lines of oddly, disarmingly charming.
Well, it wasn't. Don't do it again. We're colleagues and nothing more.
Fine.
Seriously, never again. Back off, Bigby.
Okay, lady, I got the message. Loud and clear.